A little better than normal. A little better than normal. Evening, the time is 6 p.m. August 13th, 2024. All our council meetings order. All council members are in attendance. One meeting stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Do my best here. This looks like dawn. Oh, these look like they are for variance item. So with those items, the applicant typically will wait and speak at that point in time when their item is addressed. But of course, you're free to have your 3 minutes as well now if you so choose. You just have to let me know if you'd like to defer until the item is addressed by council. I assume that would be for TJ Carr as well. Possibly Steve. Did you want to speak now or would you like to defer? You're on a different item.
No, I'm on the same item.
Oh, okay.
2 items, so I wanted to.
Sounds good. You're welcome, sir. Go ahead. Give us your address if you would be so kind.
Stephen Withers, 712 Main Street. First, I would like to address the car, mostly the DRB meeting. We had a meeting, presented by Brad. We then had a presentation by the owner. Then we asked Brad questions, explain things. We normally have a motion, a second, and discussion. We went from motion to second to vote. And I was ready to discuss a whole series of things that never got discussed and we could vote. And it's reported that I voted to approve that variance. I could not, because if you read what Brad's presented tonight, there's 7 items which can allow a variance. I couldn't hear any variance in any of the presentations that qualify for a hardship. So following 7 and 3 non variance issues. The state law says unless you have a hardship, you can't vote for it, so I couldn't. And we had no discussion when you say that. The second thing I'd like to point out is your Vision Zero plan. When I read it, I just got a call from one of our residents saying, I can't see around the corner. And I thought Vision Zero might have something to do with vision. You come around 7th and Forest and bushes are up here, you can't see in the direction. The one you called me was talking about coming out 2nd, there's a magnolia that sprouted lots of things you can't see when she comes out. So I'd like to ask you to include in your very, very nice Vision Zero plan, at least get the vision at our intersections cleared so we can see. That's my second point. Thank you. But the vision plan is great.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your input. We will get with staff and ask them to go ahead and check those sightlines. I know we're always looking at those when we do those inspections, but we certainly appreciate any public feedback that we can get on this. Sometimes when you do it every day, we notice more than we're just doing our assessments usually. So let us know if there's any sections that have blocked sightlines. And so the other two speakers will defer until later in our meeting. Next up, we have our Healthy West Orange Celebrate Proclamation. keep that at the podium. By some representatives from all of us. And I know Wesley, so he gets around.
Yes.
So tonight we have our Healthy West Orange Selfie Day proclamation. And this is a proclamation that states, whereas Healthy West Orange inspires healthy behaviors and lifestyle choices. And whereas Healthy West Orange champions healthy programs that deliver health and wellness activities. And whereas Healthy West Orange unites health-minded organizations for whom a healthy community provides meaningful benefits. And whereas Healthy West Orange advocates for healthy community decisions, and encourages local leaders to keep their community's health and wellness as a top priority. And whereas Healthy West Orange declares that the third Friday in September as the annual West Orange Healthy Safety Day, Selfie Day, and safety, want to be safe as well, but it is a selfie day. Therefore, it is my great pleasure and privilege as the mayor of the town of Windermere to declare Friday, September 20th, 2024, as the West Orange Healthy Selfie Day. And I urge all citizens to join and support this initiative. Would like to take a quick presentation?
Sure. Okay, and I do want to take a selfie with all of you up there. You don't have to put the shirts on, but you can hold it on. to show-
Quick change.
Yes, quick change. So Healthy Selfie is all about showing our community how we like to be healthy, to encourage others to try the same thing. So we have two ways that you can get involved. We have a 5K, which is a free family-friendly 5K that has a virtual option and an in-person option. Our virtual option is throughout the whole month of September, so you can join and break it up into little segments, and you can complete it however you want. So that can be biking, walking, running, swimming, paddling on our beautiful lakes. And if you'd like to complete your 3.1 miles with an awesome community group, we'll be having a in-person 5K event over at the Orlando Health Horizon West Hospital on September 14th, Saturday morning. So you can come and join, and we have hundreds of folks that come out. It's very casual, it's non-competitive. You can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want. I will be going very slow. So it truly is open for all ages and all mobility levels. And then you can also show off your healthy selfie by taking a selfie of you doing something healthy, whether it is that 5K or it's cooking your favorite healthy meal or relaxing and reading a book, part of well-being, any way that you like to be healthy in our community. You can enter our photo contest, which runs through September 19th. And then our community will vote on who our winners will be, which will get 2 prize packs of gift cards and a 1-year family membership to the YMCA. We're very excited to kick off September with a bunch of different events that you can get involved in, and they're all free and all open to all ages.
We'll present you with this, and then if we want to get pictures, we'll hold them up behind this.
Yep,
Up there and hold it up, and
I'm gonna get a.
we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Everybody.
We're gonna sell it.
Got it. Thank you so much, all. Thank you.
Certainly appreciate everything that Healthy West Orange does for our community. Very appreciative. Next up is our Windermere Vision Zero Safety Action Plan presentation. Presentation.
Scroll down to this.
Good evening.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
My name is Aaron with Gittleson, and I'm here to present the action plan. This plan has been developed in partnership with city staff as well as Metro Plan Orlando. So this plan was funded by Metro Plan Orlando when they won a grant through USDOT Safe Streets for All program back in 2023. So this is part of a regional effort. There's going to be over 20 plans at the end of this. There's an overarching regional plan as well as a plan that's specific for the town. So in this presentation, I'm just going to very briefly discuss what is Vision Zero, talk about a regional overview of crashes, talk more specifically about the process that we went through to develop this plan, crashes within the town, list of projects, and then just ending with how exactly do we reach zero. So what exactly is Vision Zero? I did really appreciate the comment about is it vision, and that's part of it, but overarching Vision Zero is the goal of zero fatalities and zero serious injuries on our roadways. And how could we possibly get there through the safe system approach, which really includes multiple levels so that work to prevent a crash from happening in the first place, but then if a crash does happen, how can we prevent it causing a serious injury or fatality? So really give an approach that helps us to focus on the fact that humans are vulnerable, people make mistakes when they drive, and to implement a safe system approach, what we want to look to is remove severe conflicts, manage vehicle speeds, which the town does a great job of doing, manage conflicts in time, increase awareness with campaigns, and then partner with our partners in law enforcement. So Metro Plan Orlando, as I mentioned, is working with every jurisdiction in the region to adopt a specific Vision Zero safety action plan. There's also a regional plan that's kind of guiding the development of all of these. The reason this really came about is some concerns of safety. More than 5 people are killed and 35 people are seriously injured on our roadways within the Tri-County area. So Metro Plan Orlando has been leading this coordinated planning effort, really focused on partnering with local agencies as well as agency partners like FDOT. So this plan specifically for the town was developed through an analysis of crashes. We had a town working group, and we thank all the staff that participated in that. And then there's also been public outreach. I did want to just stress that while Vision Zero is very important and there are a high number of serious injury and fatal crashes in the region, the town of Windermere is very close to achieving Vision Zero within the town's limits. There were only 3 serious injury crashes in the last 5 years between 2018 and 2022. So these are just some stats up here on the slide with how many crashes occurred in those years. It was about a total of 300 crashes in 5 years, but of those 300, only 3 were serious injury crashes. And so obviously the town's been doing a lot of those 4 components of safe systems, managing speeds, roundabouts, slow speeds on all those roads. This here is a map of where those serious injury crashes occurred in the past 5 years. And we did dive into the data to see if there were any patterns of runoff roads or any type of patterns that we could identify countermeasures for. Public engagement that was done as part of the plan included regional efforts. So there's an online hub. If you want to take a look at more information, you're able to search through the years, apply different jurisdictions. You can click on and off and really kind of dive into the data. At a local level, we also participated at 2 pop-up events. We went to a Food Truck Friday and Farmers Market with the intention of getting feedback from people about where do they feel safe driving, walking, bicycling. Are there areas that they don't feel safe? Really just trying to see if there are areas that the crash data is not telling us, or if there are near misses occurring. So it's really one of the focuses that we have for our local public engagement. All of that work led to a table that's included in the report
recommending projects for the town to consider in the future. Really, the intention was to also build work the town's previously done, like the multimodal master plan. So where there are connections that could be made, especially on those main roads, Main Street and Conroy. So how can we possibly reach zero? Really, the goal of Vision Zero is to eliminate fatal, serious air crashes in our region. And we do this by implementing safety plans, making policy and program changes. This plan is intended to criteria required for applying for future Safe Streets for All implementation and demonstration grants that will continue to go through 2026. And so thank you so much for your time to present on the plan, and happy to answer any questions if you have.
No question, Aaron, but I just want to applaud Metro Plan for taking this on for the region. Having been part of the Metro Action Committee, when this was presented, a lot of work went into this, so I appreciate it.
So I do have one quick question. I noticed that there is a list of the safety improvements that can be made. They all look logical and sensible to me. Is part of Vision Zero to provide any funding for those improvements?
There's no specific funding tied to Vision Zero kind of as a goal, but the intention is to work with the region, prioritize projects, incorporate that. By doing the CP action plan, you would be eligible to apply for federal funding for the Safe Streets for All implementation grant. They have a checklist of things that are required and.
Appreciate that. So, any additional questions, council? All right, see, thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for all staff who I know worked together to make this happen. It doesn't. Next up is item C. This is our town of Windermere Tree Board strategic plan presentation. Tree Board's going to present tonight. Right. And,
Frank Renz, 727 Forest, so we have been on tree board since some of the people in this room before they were born, probably. And it's been fun. So tree board was was the first of 4 of the town committees that were given the opportunity to create a strategic plan with a facilitator, a guy named Tom Fuller, super guy, very experienced, expert, that kind of thing. And he followed what I found to be a kind of standard process and structure for strategic plans. So vision statement, mission statement, core values, analysis of strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, goals and objectives, action plans. So that's how we ran meetings. We had 2 sessions and came up with a plan. So our vision statement, our vision is for our urban forest to flourish for the long term, pretty simple. We also envision the committee, the tree board, as a well-educated, proactive, and productive organization. So we want to be smart, we want to do the right things, and we want to get things done. So our mission statement has several angles. Education. So we want to better educate ourselves as a committee. We're doing some of that. We want to help the community as a whole to appreciate the incredible value that our trees provide, and to contribute to that care. Preservation and protection. There are rules that we need to comply with. There's pre-ordinance. There are other rules. There are fines and certain infractions. Some of that stuff needs to be updated. With the help of Brad and his organization, we plan to do that. Their practices need to be followed to avoid loss and mistakes. We want to put the right tree in the right place. And we live in an urban forest. This urban forest is under constant stress from a variety of attacks, storms, development,
There's tree disease, carelessness, other causes. We lose a lot of trees. They come down fast and they go out slow. So we've lost trees from the backyard. We've lost seven laurel oaks. They're all over town. They're 70 years old, and that's about how long we live. So we have a lot of things that really need attention. We want to proliferate trees that are well suited to the town. So the tree canopy should be more diverse, not just a bunch of oaks. Other large trees, other small trees that sit under power lines and other things. A lot of our trees, like the laurel oaks, are aged out. Every time there's a storm, we lose power because they come down. We have a lot of invasives, a lot of non-natives that would like to go away. And there are things that we can do to just plain beautify the town. If we pick the right trees, things will look better, it'll be more pleasant. So that's our mission, to do those things. And to get that done, we set 4 goals in 4 areas. First, we want to maintain the Tree City designation. I think we've had that for almost 30 years, continuously. And there are things we have to do. There are steps, like education, tree plantings, projects. So we're going to do that. We want to be productively involved in town projects such as a development across the street. Tree boards had a big work in that process, and we think helps. We want to continue that. With other things, we want to be involved in education for our community. So education of this group of people, the residents, students, we have ideas of how to do that. And lastly, we want to do projects that involve the community. Get juices flowing, get people interested, excited about making this town a dynamic, pleasant, beautiful place to be, even more so than it is. So that's where we are. Last, I'd like to say the tree board is in good shape now. We've got 7. We're fully staffed with 7 members. We have Vicky at long last, who has a great experience with trees, plants of all sorts, and heavily involved in just about everything with leaves in this town. We've got other long-term town residents, and we've got some new blood. So we've got new ideas on the project. And tree board is blessed to have a very strong support from the town, from public works, from Brandy, from town council, from this group here from town. So we appreciate that. We like what we're doing, and we're excited about going forward.
Thank you, Frank, and personally, I would like to just take the opportunity to appreciate and applaud all that the tree board is. It's a really well thought out document, and if you guys put time, energy, and effort into. Thank you all for that. It makes it really clear where we want to go, what we want to do, what our goals are today, and what our goals are tomorrow with the trees. We really need to, we're at that age cycle where a lot of our trees are now 50 years old, instead of losing them. I have been, wanting us to continue to plant trees. I know we've got some future initiatives that are going to be really exciting that involve trees within the town. I just want to appreciate the effort, because it is very, very important that you guys have a plan and have a full board.
Let's say one more thing.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, so when we do the what's called the SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, threats, all that kind of thing. There are a lot of trees that come down and we can't put back up where they were. They weren't right tree, right place. They were planted within 3 feet of my house, in the power line, etc. So they're, I don't know, a lot of the trees, we can't put them back there. So it's a challenge. And there's the underground utilities plans. We can't go populate, the right of way like to do because of we don't know what's gonna happen.
That's definitely some challenges, but again, certainly all full support, I think, from this body up here. Any additional comments from anybody?
I mean, I just wanna thank Frank and Vicky and all of our tree board committee, they worked really hard on this, and, you know, we do have a great committee, got, 7 members and, attendance is high, and so it's nice to see the tree board, switching around with it.
Well done on your part. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none? Thank you guys for your question. Item D, this is our Gray Robinson Boathouse litigation update. Gray Robinson, and Nick.
You guys hear me? How about now?
There you go.
How about now?
Now.
Now. All right, great. All right, we wanted to get on the agenda. Tonight, Summer and I are here to discuss the settlement proposal, which I think all of you have received directly from the Boathouse defendants in the litigation. Just a quick reminder that we are still in active litigation. Nothing has changed. We're all marching towards a trial date coming at some point in the future. So I prefer not to get too deep into the strategic and reasoning behind why we're doing what we're doing, or how we're doing certain things moving forward. But that being said, we have prepared when materials, the offer, along with it was kind of had a long opening with the narration of facts as the defendants see it. As you probably saw, we tried to briefly respond on a lot of the facts. You know, a lot of them we strongly disagree with. Our experts strongly disagree with those. I can go through any of those at the council's preference. Any specific facts, I can go through one at a time. But generally, the facts as they are stated by the boathouse tenants in the letter, you know, each one we've responded to. For instance, you know, the first one, and actually quite a few of them, the statements that are being made are that this decision has already been made and it's weighed in and it's over and done. That's just not the case. The DEP has previously said, and I think all of you know about the 1984 letters at this point. I brought copies of that in the event that any of you were not. They previously said that ownership of the boathouse is not dependent on the ownership of the submerged lands, but upon the riparian ownership to which the boathouse is attached. And the city has not conveyed its littoral rights because they understood that all the roadways are dedicated to the town of Windermere, and that's what's Jason. That they are, in our opinion, that the town is, in our opinion, the riparian owners of the area in question. So this newest letter that's been received from DEP, it takes a different tack, it looks at different things. I mean, we think a large part of the problem there is that the owner or the town was not invited to that meeting. The tenants, experts that they retained for this litigation apparently met with the DEP, walked them through their theory of the case, and asked the DEP for a letter based on that. And just like anything built on sand, you've got issues with, if not everything's presented to these individuals at the DEP as far as, well, what about this, what about that? We know for a fact that the DEP, when they issued that letter, was not aware of these previous letters. We confirmed that. And our experts are working right now on all the factual background they would need to respond to all the allegations that have been made and all these issues that have arisen. As you guys know, it's a very complicated riparian rights, ownership of uplands. You know, this is a law school exam problem. I've said that before. It's the issues that have been raised by the tenants go all over the place. We've heard over the years about a lot of different theories, all pointing to what we think we own it. But where we sit right now is that they made this offer. The offer in a nutshell is that if everybody walks away, that ownership is handed over to the tenants, that we agree not to, the town agrees not to interfere with their rights to the boathouses, the walkways, that they have the right to install utilities and maintain utilities, things of that nature. That they'll pay property taxes and that they will not use boathouses for commercial purposes, things are already required to do no matter what the systems are. That they'll maintain them in good repair, and that if the town is willing to agree to all this, everybody walks away and there's no fee. So. Part of the biggest problem that we've seen with this offer and other, suggestions over time is that the town has a duty to protect its assets and its land because town is holding those as fiduciaries for all of its residents. There's serious issues with that in giving away land or even, agreeing to something like this when the court hasn't weighed in. It's even more so here because some of the land that the boathouse is extended from is right of way. And there's a lot of case law in Florida about what a town or a county can or can't do with right of way. And it's very clear from that case law that right of way cannot just be handed over to private citizens. It has to go through a vacation process. And that's statutorily mandated and it's very specific. You have to ask all the utilities if they have any objection, there's a set of standards that have to be met. And I think everybody would agree that the right of way that we're talking about here is in use. It's not full platted paper right of way like you see a lot of times with vacations. So I think that's the big 50,000 foot view. I wanted to bring that to the council, let you ask any questions you had about the facts that were set forth in here, any clarification you need from us, and then if there's any direction that the council wants us to pursue related to this offer, whether it's continue negotiations, tell them that we're not interested at this time, we're not interested at all, or we could set a shade meeting and there needs to be more discussion on, things that are a little more maybe offer related. So.
Thank you, Nick. Nick, I have one quick question before we open it up. Additional questions from council. Is the letter that we received a modified settlement offer? It doesn't appear to be signed. I don't know exactly. It's a little confusing. Is it?
Didn't come through council, which was, it happens. Usually I expect a phone call or an email from the attorney on the other side of litigation saying, hey, Nick, my respective clients, which there's quite a few, are all interested in this. There's, everybody's name, I believe it's everybody, or almost everybody in the litigation's name is written at the end, but I think a lot of them are here, so you probably can go through that. But at the same time, it's a good question. I don't know if this is on behalf of everybody and everybody signed off on it, things like that, so. Yeah.
Know that for sure, and struggled with that in the past in terms of these negotiations and things like that. I just wanted to know exactly who we're discussing on behalf of.
Right.
Council, any additional questions for council?
Nick, how much right of way are you talking about and how much property are you about?
Well, the right of way, if you look at the plat of Windermere, as it was originally handed over to the town of Windermere, the roadway and where it curves, it goes from the right of way, and right of way is a really swishy term sometimes. So when I'm talking about right of way, I'm talking about the land that was dedicated to the town, not necessarily the road, not anything. So all that land from the inside curve, basically a little bit off the inside curve of where the road is right now, all the way to the water line was all quote right of way that was dedicated to the town. So everything there, everything you see from basically the inside curve where the park is, all the way to the edge of water through that whole section there is the right of way.
Is there a difference between that right of way and roadway right of way, like in front of my house? I base it off basically what it's inside. Is that the right of way we're talking about there, or is it different?
The right of way there, well, it's not the paved area, it's a paved area plus, in this case, quite a bit of additional there. And so that's the right of way would just be here, in front of your house is probably where your property line ends, which you need a survey to kind of determine where that line is, and that line could be, I've seen places where it's in the middle of someone's yard and they thought it's, but it's an ownership issue. So here, going around the curve, the entire area is all owned by the city, so that's all the right of way. That would need to be, you know, if it were to be. Handed over in future.
So there is enough room there to give the town the right of way that they require for utilities and developing future drainage.
No,
And include property in front of the boathouses.
maybe, maybe not, I mean, because part of the reason that towns. And counties keep right of way is both for roadways, for roadway expansion, which could, you never know, you know. And then on top of that, the ability of utilities to use those corridors as well, you know, you can put sewer next to water, and you don't put electricity right there too, so. A lot of times, you know, I'm sure all over the town, if you look at certain rights of way, they're much wider than the roadway itself is. Particularly where that's anticipated to be an issue, so I'm not sure if there is enough land there for all those additional purposes, that's part of the right of way vacation process. And that's why it's such a statutorily mandated step by step, make sure nobody's got objection to the process.
Because it certainly looks like there's enough property line, the park is there, it's right all the way to the park, so I don't know whether something happened in the future. If there still could be enough moving forward. Property owners and that, because there's nothing on the park side restricting anything from being put up there. All the way that lines, all the sewers and everything, so I'm just trying to think it through, whenever we want to talk. And it is an issue that has to be decided. So, and,
Yeah.
so to answer, ask another question, and maybe somebody in the audience can address this. Does everybody involved in this lawsuit agree with this proposal? That was a question Mary asked. Yes. Can you speak for everybody?
Yes. It's gonna be hard unless they come up and they tell their name and their address, just for the record and the people online too.
I think we need to know that, if everybody's on, because it's not a official document. And we kind of do need to know that, right?
I mean, the other alternative is to relay this through their counsel, and that's, you know, like, their counsel can speak on their behalf because it's representing them, I mean, that's typically how this is done.
I need a proper
Yeah,
chain, right? That's why I made it confusing, and that's why I did want to clarify.
right.
Not only for us, but for.
Does anyone have anything else to say on this besides me? No?
Well, Mayor and Tom.
Or, I actually want to say.
I don't think we're getting this guidance here.
Well, no, I think the purpose also of tonight was for people in the audience and the people online to understand what our position is and why we have that position, which is the basis of this case, and what the possible defenses are. But again, not getting the strategy, so they can just give a basic clip notes version of the basis for the litigation.
Sure, I mean, at this point, as we all know, that each of the defendants in this lawsuit signed a lease or would sign a lease. That said, they recognize that the town has the rights to evict them at some point in time. That time has come, the eviction act was filed, and for the first time. This ownership issue was asserted, and for the first time, this riparian rights. That the bottom lands for non-sovereign lake bed were all asserted for the first time. So from the inception, and even though there are all these basically side discussions about riparian rights, the right of way, and all these things like that. At bottom, there are leases for each and every one of the defendants that says, when we are told to leave, we will leave, and that's the nature of the litigation. We'll sort through all these DEP letters and who owns this, these bottomlands one way or the other. The other thing, if I didn't mention it, is DEP's letter, there's a lot of, I've seen it on the signs, referenced it here a couple of times. The DEP's letter is somehow determinative of things, but that is not the case. The law is pretty clear, the only person who can determine where that line is between upland ownership and riparian rights is the court. And there is no court that's made that determination. The court can look at this DEP letter, it can say, yeah, this is the DEP, I'm gonna accept it. It can look at it and say, no, they were basing this off of bad information, they weren't given all the information they needed. And I've reviewed both sides' positions, and I, the court, think that they were completely wrong, and I'm rejecting it. So, you know, that's where we are right now. You know, we're looking forward to moving forward and getting this resolved. Unfortunately, it's become with all these legal rabbit holes, it's become a long drawn out mess, frankly.
You, the one question you may have, you know, a lot of them, you know, I haven't, but the initial agreement with the original property. What, is that tracked down, like the original, just whatever, whether it was you know, handshake or verbal or a contract with, so how did the property go from the original owner? The town owning our property and the 5 people owning the boathouse or having possession of the boathouse. What was that process?
So the land itself came to the town through the dedication process like I was talking about, when the plat was recorded and dedicated, and the town having maintained the rights of way all that time, that's always been town land. As far as the ownership or use or whatever it is in the boathouse is, there's no paperwork anywhere at all for that. So, that we found, the first thing we find anywhere is the leases. You know, there's this quick claim deeds and things like that, but I think we talked about this before. A quick claim deed, you're literally saying, I'm not warranting that I have title, I'm not promising that I'm giving you anything, I'm just giving you whatever I have, which very well may be not. So as far as any assertion of ownership or who built them or anything like that, that's part of why we're here, is because it's you know, back in the 1930s, 40s, 20s, things were a lot less formal than they are now. So somebody built something on what was in town land or wasn't, you know. So those are all the issues that need to be sorted out. I don't think any of that's going to be solved in the case, because unless there's a clear chain of title that separates, and unless that was brought up under the right circumstances, that doesn't really change it.
So, and then you, so not just this conversation do that. I would like to request no shade meetings. I feel like we talked about maybe openly, as a group in a closed environment, because I still have other concerns about it. And of course, my primary objective from the very beginning was the database. I was hoping it would be solved in mediation. When it wasn't, and I started looking at the cost that's incurred, and conservative estimates are that if it goes to trial, it'll probably be another couple $100,000 per side. I don't have $1 million litigation. Town wins, quote wins. Nothing's gonna happen. The residents win, quote wins, town's not having money. I just know. That's my real intention here. I was kind of, we get tangled up in the weeds of who's right and who's wrong, because I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I'll tell my friends, I don't know who's right and who's wrong. But I still would like to somehow stop this process, mediate some sort of arrangement so that it's not, you know. That's my opinion, both who I think should get the property also. May not be appropriate right now, but I feel like we should have a shade meeting, so maybe we can, so people don't open that, leave. But I'm not the one that has an opinion on this. I would hope that be the case. But that would be my request, is that we have a shade meeting as soon as possible, we have some more discussion on it, and maybe there'll be some more candid conversation.
Councilperson Street. We'll discuss that in just a second. And there's just one thing, if no one likes litigation, no one thinks, that's pretty clear. I don't think that anyone is naive enough to think that. I think what we're talking about here and how we got to this point, there are issues, questions, challenges that over a long period of time have never truly come to a solution, or it's always been challenging. It's like my concern when we all brought this and discussed it 2 years ago now, several council members that said nobody in this room is getting any younger. You know, so we're going to continue. We need this contentious issue out there for our children who have less knowledge of the origin than the people that are here to take it. all our friends, all our neighbors, it's a very difficult situation. The other piece that brings us here is the clear document that states what happens at the surrender of the premises, section 12, the expiration of the lease term. VC shall surrender the ownership and possession of the premises in as good state and condition as they were at commencement. Reasonable use, wear and tear, damaged by elements, provided, however, VC will have the right to remove all lumber, building materials, boat hoists, and fixtures with their base determination, should it choose to do so. Provided said removal is not prohibited by law. It's a clear document. It's a clear agreement, signed twice by all of those individuals who are leasing that area. And, if we can't live to the agreement, doesn't mean anything. It's a struggle for, because we, as a body, have commitment and obligation to look after not only those individuals who have those boathouses, but the entire town and our entire park system. So, feeling on this is that we need to have a shade session to discuss strategy. We can certainly do that. And it's not a place anybody wants to be. At the same time, that we have an obligation to protect all those who are protected. And to make sure that documents that it's all signed and put our signature on are lived up to by the original promise.
Due respect, we have been negotiating several years. We've had several negotiations outside of the went to legal, and I just don't. That's the legal document. There just hasn't been any room for negotiations from their side. We've had counsel, we've had Bill Martini over that, and they were all agreeing, and they came here and then rebutted. So I just, at this point, I feel like we just.
We voted the lease down, the agreement, because at the time, not everybody was there.
Negotiated and came to it, and they still weren't, abiding by what they had to, and they just, I don't see.
The other point I'd like to make is, this dates way before 1980, so that's 40 years right there. We've had numerous councils weigh in on this. They've always stuck to the lease. With the idea that everybody keeps going. Signing leases, so obviously, even in the past, all the parties involved understood there was a lease involved. Even though there was never a title to it, a title to the land that's there. And without the title, I mean, that puts the land back to who, the Windermere Land Company. When that date's so far back, you don't have anybody. So then where does it go? It's one of those things. I understand everybody wants what they want. And the mayor's right, this is never gonna end well. But we need to find a final decision on this. It's gonna cost us X amount of dollars. If we'd have done it 20 years ago, it'd have been a third less, but the dollar was worth half of it. Yeah, we're gonna spend it no matter what, whether we did it 40 years ago, or we kick it down another 20 years, then it's $1 million aside. So, I think we need to get to the end. We're almost there. This is far as the Denise Council's been willing to go. And I think we're on the right track right now.
Any additional comments?
Yeah, I'll just file one there. We made the choice to go down this road because I had failed in negotiations. And quite honestly, the settlement offer that was presented is even further apart than that original negotiation. So we're not making any headway with mediation or negotiation. So when I decided to go the litigation route, That was clear headed, we did negotiations going forward. And we didn't get anywhere. That was the only route presented to uphold the agreement that was signed by all the lessees of the boathouses. That was the only agreement. Twice, signed twice.
That was the.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo, we need to solve this, If my daughter's so lucky to move back to Windermere and live here and serve on council when she, in 20 years, I don't want her dealing with this. We need to put this to bed. I mean, the leases have been going since 1986.
So, and I appreciate what's I'm coming late, so I apologize for throwing this up again, but I just in good conscience, I have to continue to pursue an avenue that would save the town this money that really don't have to be a vision that's called, and I know you got another intention, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not even sure who's right. All I'm saying is I really feel like one more meeting can't hurt, and we have time to think about it, because things change, don't they? I mean, people's ideas change, priorities change, I mean, opinions change, so. I feel more comfortable that one more shade meeting, I feel like there's some candid talk that can happen there. I think it's worth trying to save another $400,000, one more meeting. I'm not trying to necessarily change everybody's mind, I'm trying to consider some more options.
I don't think that, and I want to be clear, I don't think that council would said that we're not going to be.
Well, I understand. I'm just trying to use your attention.
I understand.
Yeah.
And listen, I appreciate it. I get it. I get where you're coming from. It's just a matter of, you get a letter that says you want to negotiate, and you get signs and mailers and everything else that says I want to fight. So it's just confusing from, we're quiet and leading to the best of our abilities with the tools and methods that we have to do the right thing for the entire community. That's all.
Let's just get one more shot. Let's sit and talk candidly and.
I'm fine with that.
I am also.
I'll talk as much as you want, but in order to negotiate, you need two parties.
I agree, yeah, I understand.
And I haven't seen it.
Well, maybe we will.
Council. It's not a voting item, but is everyone able to scheduling a shade meeting for this item as soon as possible? Staff.
Record, it's the last one.
Well, we actually can't do that because. We need another.
I may ask you for another one.
I just want to make some headway on this.
I understand where you're coming from, in terms of the urgency.
Yes.
I'm sure both sides.
And I'll say that just this conversation can be something to something. Not just keep letting, you know what I mean, just talking about it again, can be something, so either way.
And I hope so, I hope it's headway.
Nick and staff is then, we can provide you with what you need at this juncture, Robert.
Yes, so we'll work with Ray Robinson and the council on setting up a shade meeting, whether it's gonna be at the workshop day or will be at town council meeting. It will have to be in person, it cannot be via Zoom.
And yeah, we can maybe potentially have it work for after. Whatever it needs, it's an important item, we'll make it work if everybody else can. That give everybody the direction that is required.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It does.
Well, it's also, this is like, I take no pleasure in bringing this back. So, we need to say nothing. So I'm doing this just based on what I feel like would be a good way to have it.
Becomes. Right, next up. We have
switch roles.
Town council meeting. It's 14/20. We'll give 1 second. So
He does a lot more minutes. I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got, well, one is for, and then there's several under. Here's the other. Can we approve those now? Group G, or do we have to go down to G?
I think go down to D, I think we already done that legal, could be able to tell you that, just go ahead. I would do
I'll do one.
business first, yeah, I think we go on the other.
All right. Ready? Wait, what do you think? She didn't have any.
No.
Jim from the release. All right.
Oh, no, good.
Item nine, town council meeting minutes for May 14, 2024. Council looking for a motion to approve. Motion to approve. Motion to approve, Councilperson Dow, looking for a second. Second, Councilperson David, any questions, comments, or concerns, Council? Seeing none, we'll begin voting, Councilperson Dees.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. And mine passes unanimous. We will revisit meeting minutes when we get to item G. All right, sounds good. Number 5, new business development review board items. This is item 1. This is Z 22-10, 637 Ridgewood Drive. Susie Carr, Life Estate, Thomas J. Carr, Jr. variance request to expand an existing non-conforming home in a matter to expand the non-conformity less than 50 feet from normal high water elevation of the lake. The construction of a new swimming pool and deck at less than 50 feet from the normal high water elevation of the lake. And to allow the expansion of the existing. non-conforming
They
accessory
approved this
structure
one.
located in the front yard.
The May 15th, and they're gonna
Attachments,
address the other
CRP,
one.
recommends all the variances for expansion of the non-conforming home and non-conforming accessory structures. And DRB recommends denial of the variance for the proposed swimming pool and deck. DRB recommends that the swimming pool and deck be placed in the front yard outside of the 50-foot setback. Pursuant also to Steve Withers' comments earlier. And of course, we'll have the opportunity for the applicants to speak, and I'll turn it over to Brad to present.
Thank you, Mayor. Brad, please join us, serving in my contract with town planners. As you said, Mayor, what you have before you this evening is a variance request. It's the case number Z 22-10. It's for 637 Ridgewood Drive. And it said owner Susie Carr, Life Estate, Thomas J. Carr Jr. And the representative is Anna Michelle Evans Hall. We haven't seen them, they are here this evening, and I know they do wish to present this to council. One note about this application, you notice the case number is a 2022 number. Just so you're aware, this actually variance started back in 2022. Unfortunately, the property was damaged by the hurricanes that came through, and while they worked through that issue, this was on hold. Now that's been resolved, so now that's why it's coming forward 2 years later. Just give you an idea of why that 2 year gap is there. So that's what they're doing. So as the mayor said, there's an existing home on this property. This home was built in 1943. It is a very unique home, unique property. This home is owned, Susie Carr, like I say. This home, more than 3/4 of it is within the 50-foot setback. And in fact, the house actually extends into the lake and over the lake. So it is an unusual situation, and that house has been that way for a long time. That is existing house. There's also an existing accessory structure that's in the front that's also been there for quite a bit of time. Mr. Carr is looking to move into there with his family. And what he's asking to do is some renovations and expansion to the home. What they're looking to do is do an addition to the existing home. Where most of the addition will be on the north and west side, so not on the lake side. And what you see in the plan that's submitted, most of that addition will be on the front of the house towards the street. However, still most of that addition is less than 50 feet. And as well as that, you may recall when the town council amended their non-conforming ordinance, this falls in it also. Where that existing house is a non-conforming house, less than 50 feet. And they're adding to it. And then we're expanding the non-conformity. So there's 2 reasons for the variance for the house. And that's that request. Now, for the house request, so council's aware, They are compliant with the setbacks in terms of the side setback, which should be 15 feet, is compliant with that. They're compliant with the front setback, which is 25 feet. And they're also compliant with the total allowed floor area ratio, which includes the accessory structure, which is the right at 38%, but that is the maximum allowed, so they do keep that maximum. And they are also meeting they're under the 45% total allowed impervious area, the total improvements. So the variances are requested, and they're only ones that are required at this point based on the plans that are submitted to us. So the second variance is related to the accessory structure that's in the front. And why this is a variance for an accessory structure requires them to either be on the side of the rear yard. This is in the front yard of this property, and what they're proposing to do with this is enclosing the carport, making it placement into an office area, and then putting a small front porch on it as well. Because they're making these improvements and increasing the area of that area of that accessory structure, it falls into that same consideration. It's a non-conforming structure, it's being expanded in a non-conforming manner, so therefore it's the variance approved by the town council for that. And the last request is for the swimming pool. They're requesting to be able to construct a new swimming pool on the side of the property, and that's the east side of the property. As you're aware, your code requires swimming pools again, either between the side or rear of a property. And also it has to meet the 50-foot setback in the normal high water elevation. And then on the side property lines, it has to be 10 feet to the water and 5 feet to the deck. As they presented in part of the variance request, the swimming pool on that side is less than 50 feet from the normal high water elevation. It's approximately 42 feet from the normal high water. Where that's measured to on this property, because there's a seawall there, it's measured to the face of the seawall. That's where the normal high water line is on this property. So it's at approximately 42 feet, so it does not meet the 50-foot setback. And that's the reason for this variance. This doesn't fall under the non-conforming expansion because this would be brand new. There's not a pool on this property currently. Also, I'll just say one last time about the impervious surface area, because it is included with the pool request. And in their calculation, they do include the pool water, the pool decking, and it is still under the 45%, it's at 42%. So that is the variance request that is before you. We did send out public notices to the surrounding property owners. We actually received 8, I apologize, I forgot to include Mr. Martinez's email that with the development, I think it's 9/12. He's recommended that the council approve it with 2 conditions. One is that they bring the property up to compliance with all the stormwater on-site retention requirements, which would be required anyhow. As well as any septic tanks would have to be these new advanced treatment systems that would also be required under the new state law for septic tanks in the town of Windermere. They would need to do that as well, but those are his 2 conditions of his recommendation of approval. The other 7 we received had no conditions tied to their support of this application. In terms of the development review board, they did consider all 3 variances with quite a bit of discussion. As you stated, Mayor, on the request for the expansion of the house, they recommended approval of that. For the expansion of the accessory structure in the front, they also recommended approval of that variance. However, they did not recommend approval of the pool variance to be less than 50 feet. You know, citing the concern that the town has been very stringent on that standard, on that 50-foot setback for pools, and didn't feel there was justification for that variance. And they did make a recommendation that they may try to redesign that pool to be able to pull it into the front yard in a way where it would come out of that 50-foot setback. That was the recommendation of the development review board. This is a complicated variance, there's several there, it's a complicated property. I will say if this is approved, there will be quite a bit of engineering that they will have to do for the site related to the stormwater. Because they will have to retrofit that site to meet the 1 inch on-site, storage. I know there was a question raised about gutters, the architect representative will confirm this, but when I did speak with her earlier, there will be gutters on the house, the existing house. Which will help with that situation, to be able to keep it from running, especially partly goes over the lake. Keep it from running right into the lake, but there will be quite a bit of work left to do, even if it's variance is approved. And I can answer the question again, yeah, it's here.
It's the only house that I'm aware of, I believe that if you used to have a place where you park your boat underneath the house. But the storms have not been helpful to that part of the structure itself. So it is a pretty unique property, I think. I think my questions go as follows. Typically, you don't allow for swimming pools and ancillary structures in the front yard. Is that allowed due to the fact that the current structure is there, especially the ancillary structure?
For the accessory structure that's already there, that's why the variance is part of this, for them to improve it.
It'll be expanded also because of its location.
Because it's in the front yard, right? Now, if the council wants to make on the pool, we make it condition, it's going to move it in the front. You would have to have that as condition of variance, because that also is part of variance. My opinion about that, though, I think we could make that condition because it's quite less impactful to put that over that. And you can put conditions on that as well, if you like screening and things like that.
Well, you're beyond the council, have any questions for Brad?
But, just wanted to bring it up. Has there been talk in planning and maybe extending the pool on the side and out in front of the house instead of having to go in the front yard? And as, you know, you don't allow in front, but, you know, it's already on the side, so they can bring it out a little bit to where it's, you know, a little bit in the front, but not quite switch, but then we're not at our 50, we're at our 50 setback.
So that's yeah, I did have that discussion with the representative that, Michelle. I'll let her present what her finding was, but she did look at that and I'll let her present.
Perfect. I do have a question, is there a different setback to the sides for the pool rather than the 15 foot that would be constructed?
Yeah, the pools are allowed to be from the side property lines, they're allowed to be, the deck can be 5 feet from the side property line. And the pool water can be 10 feet from the side property.
I've got one question also. On the variance, it says it's a 42-foot setback for the pool. Is that 8 feet of the pool is above the high water? Or 8 feet is below the high water? Because the way the drawing looks, it looks like only 8 feet of the pool is above the 50-foot high water mark. Which would mean it'd be a lot less than 42 feet to the
The
water.
applicant and she'll testify.
Okay.
Actually, her drawing was incorrect.
Okay, that was something that came up before, and if you look at this, it doesn't look that way.
Correct,
So,
yeah, so
okay, no worries.
this is to the closest edge of the pool to the water is
42 feet, so it's much further upland than it looks in the drawing. Okay.
Yeah, that's the question I had, I didn't look up the majority of was beyond the 50-foot mark there. I think this is before we have to discussion regarding the now pool. What's the setback of the county? We talked about that earlier.
County does it different than we do in the town. For pools, generally, it is based on the same setback for construction. I don't know, so it depends on what the zoning district is on that property, on the property in the county.
We went to some houses over there on the Sean Block and how the pools.
Yeah, I mean, on those, because those actually have a 1 acre zoning, they're the same as us, so they're in Sean Block there.
I spoke with Orange County, their permitting department today, their supervisor, the permitting department, and she told me that in general, it's around 25 feet. However, they had some new information coming out, and there is somebody that's at their department that's been having meetings and presentations with the county about 50-foot rules, and they're talking about potentially changing it to put based on some information about, but there was a cute little phrase that she called it, I don't remember exactly, but something about pollution into the waterways. So that's kind of coming down the pipe on county level right now.
I think definitely want to hear more from the applicant. I think the pool chapter is that we have been pretty clear that even recently, we talked about Main Street, we looked at amending our own ordinances. The council nor the public seem supportive of that, so, you know, again, nothing is precedent setting when it comes to variances, but I just sure council is cognizant of the fact that we pretty straightforward on that, and you go throughout and consistently, so. Any additional items to wrap?
Just a real quick question, Fred. The septic system is located where?
Please in the front, but I'll let the applicant.
So it is outside the 50 foot.
I believe it is, but yeah. And I do fully believe they will have to put in a new system to put this proposal thing in.
At this time, we'll hear from the applicant. When you come to the podium, just give us your name and.
TJ Carr, I live at 3339 Waxberry Court, lived in Windermere my whole life. My dad's lived here most of his life, and we've been around for a while. This house, as you guys know, is super unique, so I know that you don't get any variances for the pools pretty much, but this house, if there is one to do it, is probably the one to look at. And just a little history, I'm gonna get a little introduction and then let Don handle. My grandma bought the house 40-something years ago. I grew up swimming. I learned how to swim there, learned how to ski there. It's the coolest house on the chain, in my opinion. And I really want to preserve that, but make it livable for my family. I have 2 young kids that love to swim, and a pool's very important to me. And that's something I'm really pushing for. And I don't have to have this house the way that I want to renovate it, but it doesn't have to be that way. But for me to build a new house, I have to destroy 3 or 4 of some of the biggest trees in town. And if that's the route that we have to go to get to the pool, that's an option for me. It's not something I want to do. I think that everybody in town would rather give a couple of feet of a pool variance than tear down some big trees. Trees are some of the most important things to the town. So that's one thing that I want to point out before I send it over to Don. And any general questions you can ask me, but any numbers you gotta ask Don.
Fair enough. Any questions for Mr. Carter?
So all your neighbors are familiar with this plan and have no issues with variance requests?
We heard earlier, I think we got 8 letters of support and 0 that were non-supportive.
And I know one, I thought, I'm sorry. The water thing is an issue for water retention, and should we discuss that? That's a concern of mine. With the development of all this, the water is going to.
We've already had the early testing, he's already wired in the computer, so we've already done the preliminary testing.
No, we can have it, Mike, otherwise it doesn't get supported for the record, so we won't miss anything.
To answer his question, Mr. Carr has already hired an engineer. We've already had permeability testing done preliminarily, because it was requested. So I assume that you'll have to do more of them and get more of that, and that's part of the process once this is approved.
I guess my question was, that also includes if the pool is approved.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna need permeability testing regardless. Just as part of the process for the city, the town. So the original drawing you have in your packet has a 50-foot normal high water line misplaced. That was just determined today. Brad and I were conversing back and forth, and he was measuring. So the information we were given was incorrect. So that's why your drawing looks like we were looking for a 42-foot variance. When in actuality, that line is at a diagonal. So we were looking at a 7'11" on one side and a 6 foot on the other side. I can hand this drawing if you wanna passing around and see where the line should have been. But we re-verified today and had. Once.
Yes, please.
And I looked the numbers.
Yes.
Because they're teasing. I think the steps and the variances in order, leaving the pool for last might make sense, because they're three separate. So if you wanted to start the variance of the non-conforming of the house, if there's any conversation that needs to be had on that.
Yeah, I can go ahead and sit on it.
Okay.
Make your points as well, that way we don't leave anything on the table.
Okay.
In terms of information.
As Brad said, the majority of it is towards the front of the house. There's one little piece on the left side, just trying to square up the house and make it make sense. It got very narrow on that side, trying to do anything. So the majority of the expansion is towards the front. So we're trying to get out of the 50-foot line, but there's just no way having renovation attached to the home and get it out of the 50 feet, because the whole house is within it. So we worked really hard at that. I think, as Brad pointed out, we tried very hard to be respectful of the trees and the neighbors and the community with our renovation, leaving it a one-story home. We have made the concession of not altering anything on the rear elevation. So as to protect the lake. We're not changing the bearing height, we're not changing windows, we're not changing anything on that elevation, we're being as respectful of the lake as we possibly can. And not having construction back there. The only thing that we are adding on the ancillary structure cabana is just trying to give it some style aesthetics. Because it is what you can see from the street because of the trees, and it's a fairly tiny structure. So that was purely aesthetic, trying to make the neighborhoods prettier. Because the majority of the house can't be seen from the street to the trees that are in the middle. So that really wasn't to benefit them more than the community. So the pool, we have 3 separate pool designs that we did. We had the original pool with the 7'11" and 6' variance request. We went back after the DRB and did a pool in the front yard because it's in front of the front plane of the house, but it's completely shielded from the front by the cabana. So in its totality, it cannot be seen from the street, although it's in the front yard, it's not the front yard of the ancillary structure. The problem with that in its entirety being behind the house, was just the size of the pool. You know, he doesn't want an adult dip pool, he wants a pool for his children. So the design was rejected, I do have those drawings. And then still keeping with pulling the pool towards the front, we looked at what the possibility is of having a smaller pool. And with the pool that they have approved, the diagonal is a 2'4" variance and a 4'4", with the 4'4" portion behind the house. So I can show you that line as well, and that pool design. What I'm saying is the each portion of the variance is completely different. So I would do about 3. And that pool is pool design 3, and I have imagery of that pool, if there's any interest in seeing that. I think, again, we have tried to get as small as pool as possible and not ask for too much. We're asking for about 3 feet on average, 2'4" on one side and 4'4" on the other. So I can show you this.
Just a quick question, the one you said with 4 foot 4 inch and 2 foot 4 inch, this is the one that,
That's the thing.
and the applicant didn't want this one, is this?
They
one
do
you-
want that, and they are amenable to it.
So that's the one behind the accessory structure between it and the
Mhm.
main house.
Gating that was able, we were able to shift the pool and still keep a decent sized pool.
So, I asked the same question, that was clear, are you asking for the 6 to 7 foot or the 2 to 4?
The 2 to 4 foot. And the ability to have it in technically what's considered the front yard, because it's in front of the front face of the elevation of the main structure.
Well said.
I don't think I understand.
Was the, for this rendition, was the main part of the house, addition reduced to allow that pool to fit?
Yeah, it was just pulling it forward.
Yeah, Randy, it looks like they went, there was a 6 foot, deck in between. And they just cut it back. They, on the canopies, there's a small deck right there, they just removed it basically.
Because we were getting 2 sets of rules, right? It was, it could be straight in front of the front face and it had to be 50-foot water line. I didn't know which one was more important at the time, I do now. So we chose to keep it behind the front of the house.
And this 2 to 4 foot variance request will still allow you to save the trees?
Yes.
The applicant's amenable to all the considerations that were raised by the adjoining neighbor, Mr. Martini.
Yes. Those are all things we have to do by code anyway.
I thought so, just clarify.
Yeah, no, we're fine.
So. I really like to see this stuff before the council meeting. And, you know, I mean, I appreciate the additional drawings because I have the high water line and everything drawn, you know, on. And highlighted in color on the map that we were provided. But some of my concerns are is that DRB hasn't seen these other renditions, they haven't had a chance to vote on these renditions. And, you know, there's a lot of changes and, you know, with the high water line being different. So my preference would be that it did go back to DRB before council looks at it to consider it, as one comment. But while you're here, my other concerns are, I don't really have much of a concern with, I'll just put that out there, as far as, enclosing it, the carport, whatever, I don't really have an issue with that. I also don't know why for something like this, it's like so close to the lake, why we didn't reach out to our lakes consultant. So that's something I would like to see, I mean, with the pool and any of the other things, and I mean, I wasn't even on council, so that we did ask for our lake consultant's feedback. On proposed structures like this that are in the 50-foot setback. I know that there's holistic intent to save those trees, but I think when you're adding this large of an addition and you're bringing in equipment, staging that equipment for the build, putting in a septic, putting in retention area, that has to all be in front of the home. On a home that's on a slope from the road down to the lake is a significant drop. I feel like those trees aren't gonna make it through that whole process. I think that, you know, even just the build, you know, where you're gonna lose trees, but there's nothing to show where the existing septic is, the existing well, where the new septic would go. And I understand that's normally done at a later point for more specific engineered drawings. But, you know, one of the reasons that they're saying that they wanna do it this way is to save the trees. And I have a feeling the trees are not gonna make it, whether it's this or a new construction, and without seeing where the retention area is. You know, new air, the new answer septic system, that would be a concern. But at a minimum, I would like to see it go back to DRB with the new plans that they're amenable to, that brings the pool forward. Because I'm also much happier with the pool up there than back where it was in the drawings that was presented in our agenda.
Well, it was their suggestion to put it in the front yard, and our
Yeah,
discussion that night was, do you want me to come in back in front of the DRB and show you the pool in the front yard? Or do you want us to go to town council? And I was told, Brad can confer, that we already come to town council, because they already agreed to us going in the front yard.
Brandy, it was discussed,
Okay.
Okay, because that was back and forth, and the members that did vote in favor of the first two variances, it put forward that if they brought it forward a couple of feet, it would be considered in the front yard, and that they would be amenable to it. And that, if you look in the, actually, look in, it's in the notes. It's the last line.
And I did offer to send all the drawings that I handed to you, and it was told just to present them tonight, so I'm just trying to think by the rules that I was given.
Okay.
And I don't have a little ball that's gonna tell me what the trees are or not gonna do, but I think the Carr family are contractors, they know how to do these things. I mean, and it's common knowledge how you rope off trees and how you protect them, and the number of feet you can't drive over roots. We're gonna do our absolute best, but we can't pay for engineering without knowing that what we propose is being accepted, and we can't get permits without everything we need to code. So unless we can jump through those other hoops of proving where the septic and the retention and all that is, we're not gonna get a permit.
Well, you know, I mean, it's an undue burden to ask them to go through engineering prior to approval of a variance or disapproval of a variance for that matter, so.
Agreed, I didn't ask through it, I just said it makes it harder to understand, you know, what will or won't be impacted. So, I mean, I did speak with Brad about this as well earlier today. My concerns would be then, you know, that maybe. I mean, I still think you should go to the latest consultant. I mean, I contacted EPD because my concerns were, you know, we have properties in this town where they remove vegetation in the wetland, they remove cypress trees in the wetland with, or anything within the 50-foot setback, and they have to put it back, and we're talking about building almost 1,743 square feet. Mostly of which is within this, where I thought the 50 foot setback line was, and I'm not exactly sure where that is across the entire property anymore. Because, you know, you're saying the line isn't correct in what was sent to us, but. I don't know that I see the hardship in the letter of the rules, because we're allowing a larger non-conforming. Which is literally the law they passed last year before I was on council, to not, you know, exacerbate a problem, which is what it feels like they're doing with the structure. I mean, my concerns are more with the addition than the pool if it moves and the other part. So.
The additional questions or comments, council?
I would like to say that I've seen a lot of construction in town. A big tree under. And I've seen the opposite happen. You listen to chainsaws 5 days in a row, every single slash and burn tree, come down. I live in a 100-year-old house myself, appreciate the historic value of all these older homes that you can do to retain it. I like the history that this family has in this town. I like anything to do to enhance quality of life for families, which sometimes it goes for some people. I think that you guys have a lot of efforts. And in my opinion, you're talking about average 3 feet variance, squeeze in as much as you can. I think it's commendable what you've established to do, and I support.
Any additional questions, comments, or?
So I just have a question, so we're not even debating this setback right now, it's down, you put the pool in the front, we don't even have to worry about that, so it's just the 2 variances, correct?
No, there's a variance for putting it in the front yard, so we've added one, there's now 4 variances, and I'm asking for 2'4" to 4'4". So it's an average of 3'4".
So, yeah, it just, you know, she described it. Since there's 3 variances, are we having 3 votes tonight, or can we do 4 or 5 or whatever? We do 1 vote on this as long as we craft it carefully?
I think we should do each one separate. I think you should do each one separately.
That's what I'm verified, I think. All right, council, I'm looking, help me out on this, I don't, council, I'm looking for a motion to approve the auxiliary, no, let's do the house first, for the house, variance request.
Expand the non-conforming.
It's number 3.
Expand the non-conforming
see if I get this right. A motion to approve, proposed variance for the expansion of the existing primary single, family house with a setback less than 50 feet from normal high water elevation.
Motion made by Councilperson David. Thank you, sir, for doing the reading. Looking for a second. Second from Councilperson Williams. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, we'll begin voting Councilperson Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-1. Councilperson Hughes dissenting. Next is our motion to approve the non-conforming accessory structure in the front yard.
Mayor, motion to approve the, to expand the existing non-conforming accessory structure in the front yard, be consistent with the criteria for the variance provided.
Motion by Councilperson David.
Second.
Second, Councilperson. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we begin voting Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Second motion carries unanimous. Council, I believe, based upon consensus and discussion, that we're voting to approve the pool less than 50 feet from the high water line that is in the front yard of the structure.
They set with a 3-foot average.
3 foot.
Average setback. For variance.
We say 3.5, just to.
Yes. Okay.
And the front yard is the 4 variance.
So he didn't need it too well, I mean, front,
Okay.
he added front yard.
Okay.
Right, we good for 3.5. But.
I didn't see the plan, but yes.
It's
No,
around
is it
3.5.
worded correctly?
We say
Quite honestly, my recommendation would be to just adopt the revised plan that she submitted. And that's what they would have to follow when they would submit the permit, is that plan that she gave to y'all this evening. Without actually having a number, just say this is the plan we would approve, that she gave you this evening.
So let's give this a shot. So motion
We'll
to
have our
approve,
engineer do it.
say again?
We'll have our engineer do it.
So, motion to approve the proposed variance, for the swimming pool on the latest plan, placing the, pool between the, cabana and the, existing wood deck with a variance of 2 foot 4 inches on the plan right side and 4 foot 4 inches, plan left
In the front yard.
in the front yard.
Okay. Motion maker, David.
Okay.
Second, Williams.
motion.
Questions, comments, or concerns? See none, we begin with Councilperson Street.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. Consenting is Councilperson David. We got everything we need, staff.
Yes, sir. Just will need to send me, if you could send me that revised plan, so I have that with the record and I get to the clerk.
Mr. Carr, we'll look forward to seeing
Yeah. So I need to make sure. Is this the next one, the grant?
Right, you guys. You got it. All right, next up is item D. This item number 1 is to approve the state funded grant resolution for project 453 -1-54-01. This is for Windermere Road and Main Street roundabout. Staff recommends approval, council. Motion to approve. Approved, Councilperson Davenport. Second. Second, Councilperson Davis. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we'll begin voting council first. Aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Next up is appointments for Park and Recreation Committee appointee Kelly. Parks and Rec Committee recommends. Would you like to make the motion, councilperson David?
Yes, I should make a motion to accept the county tool.
Yeah, that was approved.
Motion.
But I need to get sign it.
David.
I need-
First, second, council. Yeah, question, comments, or concerns? Thank you. None, can we have council?
Thanks.
Aye.
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 Yeah.
That item is approved, and we appreciate this service to Parks and Recreation. Next up, contracts and agreements, approval of contract and rates with Kimberly Moore Associates for continuing engineering services. Staff, give any presentation or anything on this?
No, this is a continuation of the May meeting. They were selected with the RFQ process, the selection committee recommended Kevin Horn Associates. So we negotiate the rates and the contract, and that is, those are both attached to the agenda pack.
And those rates are those the same as the previous rates?
No, the rates were increased, the last rates that we approved were in 2019.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No,
It was without saying anything. Any addition, do you have any questions?
Yeah, what was the escalation? Robert,
what was what?
do you know what the escalation of rates was?
Yes, for the principal in charge, is an increase of $40, for project manager, $30, senior engineer, $30, project engineer, $25. The analyst is 20. The senior landscape architect planner was increasing 30. Project landscape architect planner was an increase in $20, and then the clerical admin was an increase of $10.
So those are. Okay.
Council, any additional questions on this item? Seeing none, look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Your council.
Second.
Second, council. Questions, comments, or concerns, council? Seeing none, begin voting council versus Street. Aye.
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 Approval of contract agreement, Kimberly Moore Associates, continuing engineering services. And so, next up is our interlocal agreement for police dispatch services. Have Chief present on this real quick, because there's a few red lines in there, and I know that there may be a couple quick questions.
Yeah, this starts at. This is a regular contract service, and we've been signing pretty much every year. We changed it a little, there's just a few things in here. I don't think anything, we used the vendor name or just a generic vendor instead of Smart Cop itself, because we're looking at different records management systems. That's really no great value there. So we just changed a little bit. The only additional thing on page 5 of that is contract agrees. That's because of some public records requests that we've had in the past. We just want to make sure we shore up that language between us and Windermere.
So with the change in vendor, is that designed because everyone wants to change the vendor, or are we just not happy with the current software package and we're looking to change that out?
So this is just a dispatch agreement itself, that doesn't have to do with the vendor.
And yeah,
And I would, we're still negotiating right now, so I prefer to have offline
understood.
discussions about that right now, and I'm still talking about it, so you guys know.
I knew, the reason I asked is I knew there had been some discussion, so make sure that this wasn't related to that discussion and would include us any.
Good question, Aaron. Not at all, just a dispatch agreement with Windermere.
Promotion group, there's some additional questions for Chief.
I have one comment. Can we get if you do the motion to approve, can we get the motion to approve? There's a few other revisions that Chief and I are working on for the public records language that we want to have fixed that are not in the red line in the package, right?
Are you requesting that we would approve it pursuant to those?
Yes, just getting the language that, right,
Variances for.
favorable for the town, correct?
Yes.
What are the revisions?
Yeah, the only one, the contract is for all the agencies, so on that one particular clause that we added in there, instead of putting town of Windermere or city of Lacroix, we're just gonna put contract. Just whatever, everyone's gonna have the same one.
the language though that we requested for the public records is not in this version, that's what I was asking. So what we would like to have happen is and I don't have the exact language in front of me that I proposed, but we want if there's a public records request to come in, that to be presented to the town, and then the town fills it. We do not want to indemnify and hold anyone harmless for public records. We just want to simply fulfill the public records request on the behalf of the town.
That's not the item listed in C6 where it says contractor agrees.
Yeah.
Yes, so
That's it?
no, this is not the language that we want.
That's not-
Correct. That is the unfavorable language, so they don't like.
That's the one in question.
You want the favorable language.
So
Okay.
we proposed the favorable language as far as I know, like chief, and we just haven't heard back.
Correct, there's no issue with favorable language. It just eliminates that. Basically, what we're saying is we're gonna abide by the current records management laws.
Yes.
Laws, right.
Exactly.
Are we in a time deadline for this item?
I mean, it starts October 1, so no, we can bring it back and clean it up. We were hoping to have a clean up version between now and then, we didn't get it.
You were hoping to sir.
To have a cleaned up version back between now and, because we just sent this back to them.
Can we approve this and then bring an info item back, to inform council changes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just would like you to, I don't want you to approve this version. That's exactly what I would like.
Yeah, and, trust me, but it's always good to see it if there's time,
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, so again, as an overall.
We're gonna verify.
Yeah.
Trust and
As an overall, this is within our contract.
Trust and
It's
verify.
all About 4 or 5%. The dates are changed on this, the vendors contracted as opposed to naming the vendor on that. And there's one additional thing to clarify the records management system. Is what was thrown in there.
All right. So, your motion to approve.
It's very complicated.
Really,
That shouldn't have been complicated.
You need to make it so
Police dispatch services, the addition of our favorable language for public records and an info item to return at next council. Fair?
So moved.
So moved, council.
Second.
Second, Williams. Questions, comments, or concerns, council? Again, voting, councilperson Stewart.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That item carries unanimous. Let's see what other motions we can try out. These are very bathrooms. Next up is financial. This is temporary restrooms facility at Town Square, $10,620. Talked about bathrooms and so. We talked about them anymore, so I think. Put this for approval as staff recommends.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, councilperson Williams.
Second.
Second, council. David, questions, comments, concerns, council?
This is what we settled on, was this 9¾ way?
It's a fancy blushing.
We weren't thrilled with it.
We missed you. We missed you during that. conversation.
No worries, this makes us the. I mean,
Yeah, we've gone from the top to the
That's
bottom.
good.
I think that the consensus of council was based upon the expenditures required to do bathrooms and town hall modifications and improvements and preservation as been desired to do. We did not want to spend $100,000 plus that could go towards a permanent solution on the temporary.
We need a permit.
Somewhere.
Okay, next.
Okay. So. We got a motion and a second. Anything else? Again, voting councilperson.
Over in the orange grove.
Aye.
With the caveat, it is not on for us.
Right. Thank you. Temporary resident facilities are approved. Next up, another item that we worked really hard on, that is moving forward, the approval of fencing, gate access systems, and gate access policy for Lake Street, Lake Town Parks, $41,600. Staff ratings.
Motion to approve.
Approved, councilperson King.
Second.
Second, councilperson. Questions, comments, or concerns, council? Seeing none, we'll begin voting, councilperson Stewart. Aye.
I,
Aye.
That purchase and item carries unanimously. Next up, emergency purchase for Shenandoah CIPP lining pipe at 2 Oakdale in the amount of $16,360. As this is an after action item for emergency purchase. Either Robert or John can give us the formal. I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah, we actually had a pipe collapse on North Oakdale Street, which is actually the outfall for the entire water basin. So what in lieu of replacing it, which probably would have been upwards of $30,000 to $40,000, we're actually lining it. And so that's kind of the proposal. We did have 3 bids. One was a non-responsive, and then the other bid came in at a little over $20,000. So this is low bid for that.
And work is complete, all good?
No,
Okay. I thought it was after action because it was.
no, I think it's on here, and then now we're able to schedule them, but they'll be pretty quick.
Council, look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Just one question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Second, Councilperson David, and back to Councilperson Dad.
So the lining will restore the pipe or will it just maintain its current capacity?
No, it will actually be the new pipe. So in essence, it's actually a sleeve that they'll be putting through the pipe. And we do have different sizes of pipes out there because it goes from 12 to 16 to 15. It's all old clay pipe. So actually it'll be a brand new PVC pipe liner.
Culvert type barrier.
It's basically a new pipe that they just extrude.
So it's not the epoxy ether type liner. So
Yeah, it's similar to that, but it actually casts its own pipe. So when it's in a larger pipe, it actually just goes through as a 12-inch sleeve. Correct, yeah.
And the issue that caused, I think it was a tree that caused the original issue.
No, actually, the original issue was corrugated metal pipe that was installed in probably 1950 when they actually did that. So basically, there's 0 invert to the existing pipe right now, and this one happened to wrap around.
Sorry, I thought it was a tree that caused the damage.
I mean, it could have been, but the tree's no longer there, so.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we can go to the Councilperson Deeds.
I,
Aye. Item F, for council consideration, the implementation and execution of an assistant town manager position. Robert, can you speak on this?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. As you see with the many minutes that we have to approve, and with the various projects we have ongoing, they're still in the infancy stage as far as we haven't even started to do construction of those yet. My time has been going to meetings, workshops, residents, those meetings and stuff like that. And then I'm being pulled in different directions. And some of those directions are conflicts with FDOT, MPOs, DEM, FEMA, stuff like that. And with Tanya now getting her public administration group, it's going to afford her the experience and the education to go ahead and join like FCCMA and other ICMA organizations to get the education and the other additional stuff that she may need in order to gain more knowledge in the field. But mainly it's going to hopefully alleviate some of my time where I can, go to my 5 and 8 year olds T-ball games or basketball or ninja courses, which I just found out that we just signed up for. And a lot of those do require either myself or the mayor to attend those. And they always restrict them to a managerial role for the town. Oakland has a city manager. Bacoa has it. A lot of different organizations have it within the Central Florida area. So I think this is a great way to not only reward Tanya for her great work, but also free up some of my time, and then give her some other avenues as far as, with her public administration degree on accessing a lot of those different organizations that I think she's definitely been benefit.
Council, any questions?
So Robert, is the intent to change any policy to give her approval authorities on your behalf, or is that all going to be addressed?
It's mostly on a case by case basis. Right now, when I leave, if I go on vacation or something like that, I typically have Dorothy over admin and then Chief over the PD. And any personnel decisions are to be held until I get back. And it's mostly just, administrative issues that may come up, but usually whatever's come up can actually wait until I get back. But this would designate her as that conduit for everybody while I'm gone.
So for emergency purchases in your absence, for her to assume those responsibilities in your absence?
We would take a look at how that needs to be structured for the charter. But we would, definitely, number one, I'll be gone during an emergency. But if so, then we'll be able to get in contact with me and I can still authorize those purchases.
Big portion of this too is to begin to take us down the road that are equipped in the future. As well as like Robert said, there are a lot of times if he and I can't go to a meeting, and I'll not have anybody else there, so I'll represent. So give us some consistency and allow us to continue to grow with the right personnel and keep it.
No, I think this is great for succession planning and growth of town staff and everything.
One of the things that Robert and I also, we talk about at times are the fact that we've been super successful at the legislative funds and turning these funds into projects. Everyone thinks that getting the money is the hard part. Spending money is easy, but it's actually not so true. It takes a lot of effort and energy and planning to get everything put together, especially when there's matching funds involved in other agencies. So look at how we can convert these dollars into projects quicker as well and to serve everybody's.
All right, Mr. Mayor, thanks for bringing up the projects end of it. I love this idea. My concern, I want to get this discussion started, is we're gonna need we need a projects manager. We can't lay all this with, we got 6 projects that are all gonna come online at the same time. To lay it all on Tanya's feet and Robert's feet, because something's gonna get dropped, something's gonna, it's gotta be too big of a job at some point for the both of them. So I think we need to really start looking, if this is the direction we want to make this assistant, then we need a full-time project manager. That's, 5-year contract, it's to suit this group and then on to the next group and something of that sort. But I think we're to a level that we need to really start looking at this. Because the number of projects, I can't remember us ever having this many projects at one time that all have large financial implications if we don't meet all the deadlines.
Right. I totally agree with you. There's definitely several ways to skin that cat, so.
I think we need to start going down this road and preparing for it, because
There's several components to that. I think this is a good first step. Aaron, based on how we continue to evolve, work those situations out. I know Barbara had quite a few comments and discussions about how we do this. Keeping everybody in the loop, making sure that cost escalation makes sense. Proud of everybody's efforts and working. It's a good problem to have. So, all right, we'll start here looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the assistant town manager position.
Councilperson Davitt, motion maker, second, Councilperson David. Any further questions, comments, or concerns, council?
It's obviously gonna be Tanya's position available.
She would,
It is timeframe also.
well, no, she would go ahead and she would still maintain her responsibilities for public works.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's just going to add that added element, one, to take over while I'm gone as far as when I'm on vacation and stuff like that. And to get those different memberships to those organizations. But pretty much it would be exactly the way it is going right now.
Right.
But it gives her that ability to do some of the stuff that I know the mayor and I can't do.
It answers a lot of questions, because I'm like, what, you're for, what's the salary, is it the economy? All right, clarify a lot, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tell you what, any additional questions? Seeing none, we'll begin voting. Councilperson Stewart. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Motion carries unanimously. Now, back to item G. Oh, John was surprised. Come on, somewhere I see him. We're gonna wear John.
Yeah. I- And I appreciate that comment. I think to Councilman Williams' point, you know, when you have these large projects, no different than when we were doing the town facilities, you know, that was a full-time job for me.
Yeah.
And with other things that I do, you know, in life, that's probably not appropriate. Now, I still think there's a layer that, you know, from the engineering side that's important. And there's multiple ways that we can look at that through CDI and some other stuff when we are purchasing these large items that we actually have, you know, full-time inspectors on the site, project managing change orders and those kind of things with the oversight from Tanya and myself. So I think as these projects come online, we can gear up and gear down based on how we purchase those individual projects. And I think that's probably going to be a better approach for the town.
That was going on here, they have the whole project manager for oversight and all that.
Yeah, so, yeah, as an example, you know, coordinating everything that happens to happen through the town, through that, you know, the right of way use permitting, all of the inspections outside the limits of the boundaries of the project, site walks, reviews, coordination with the
If they
town.
would hire you.
Huh?
Council, we have 7. Practice my new ones. We have 7 meeting minutes to approve. Council, you can visually approve them all together. You can pull one as you see fit, or fit. But council, we're looking for a motion. Our meeting minutes.
Your motion to approve all 7 sets of meeting.
All 7 from Councilperson David, second.
Second.
Second, Councilperson David. Any questions, comments, or concerns on these items or changes? Are here. All right, we'll begin voting with Councilperson Haynes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Next up is Mayor and Council Liaison Reports. Had a meeting with, one of those meetings that we were talking about, all the mayors met, county managers met with Mayor Demings, late last week. Some of these JPA agreements, things that are happening. I don't know, did you hear what the vote was today? They moving on to the voters?
I think it started at 2:00.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an opportunity to take a look at it. I think it's the first public hearing of the
I didn't
ordinance.
either, so, but there's lots going on, and what we want to do is, of course, we want to be responsible and growth, but also we want to make sure that we craft ordinances and laws and ask for approvals on items that provide, respect who will allow us to take care of our town, our surrounding areas. So we made those points clear. One of the things that Mayor Demings did mention is that transportation surcharge push will be turning 5 at that circle. So you ready to see that? As a council, the majority of us attended the West Orange Straw Poll Hobnob, which was a good event and pretty telling and interesting. But other than that, that's all. The additional council reports.
Just real quick, Mayor, Robert and I did meet with Rover yesterday to start the negotiations on the closeout for the pavilion. We requested some additional. Secondly, and probably most importantly, is there is an election on August 20th. I hear there's some folks that don't realize that, so I just wanted to publicly say that. 20 August is the election date. Early voting is occurring.
Now, that's our primary, so that'll be your D1 commission race and some others. But important for sure. Good job on getting the.
plan for that.
Well, just you send my appreciation. I love, whenever we're not sure what it should look like, that was really. And getting, members, I appreciate that. Any staff reports or anything?
Yes, sir, I'll try to be brief. We did have a meeting with Orange County, John Weiss and also Byron Brooks last week relative to the Shangri-La annexation. I went through the report and went through any of their questions. They didn't really show any signs of any objections because of the close proximity and the size of the actual annexation. We're still trying to figure out whether or not the ordinance that was revised based on your meeting on Friday will have any negative impacts on involuntary annexations as opposed to voluntary annexations. So basically what they're saying with the voluntary annexation ordinance was that it doesn't matter if it's in the town of Windermere or where else, they would still have to go to a public hearing with Orange County in order for them to bless whatever your annexation is going to be. Now, the rural boundary agreement was the same thing, but it had to do with land use changes. So if you wanted to increase the intensity and density of a land use, even though you had to annex into a town, they would still have the authority to approve or deny that land use change. So again, there's a huge infringement upon.
And it had to be 60% voted as well.
Yes, supermajority vote for both the voluntary annexation and any land use changes within that rural boundary. So of course, the towns and municipalities all objected to it. They made all those objections known by a letter signed by, I think, every mayor in the Orange County, and fell on deaf ears a little bit. So they're trying to see if, part of their thing is to exclude JPAs, but typically they won't enter into joint planning agreements with municipalities unless there are utilities involved. And when I talked to Byron, there really didn't seem like an appetite to enter into a JPA because we're already surrounded by existing development. And so now we're just getting into an argument over where the town boundaries would be in the future. And I don't think there's an appetite for that right now.
It did not seem that. It seemed like you should say.
Yeah. We are setting up a meeting with Commissioner Wilson to discuss the Shangri-La annexation. And we do have one more meeting with the residents of Shangri-La and holding 2 public meetings with the residents at large over that annexation, just so we can get all the information out to everybody, see what the objections are, and just make sure everybody has the right information when they're communicating with friends, neighbors, and colleagues. And we'll let you know when those meetings are. Do want to thank all the public works, police, town admin on the storm response. Even though it wasn't a major storm for the town of Windermere, we did have a lot of flooding, and we're in communication constantly from, I believe, Friday until Tuesday. I saw Tony on a couple executive policy group meetings, and Chief and I were on a lot of the OSA meetings. But yeah, it's stuff that you don't see that, that we work really hard on making sure everything's coordinated, and it was good dress rehearsal for anything that may come up in the future. I know the one that's out there right now is me taking the northeastern turn, but if anything comes up as far as in September or October, we'll definitely be ready. We're working on the town square charrette that already went through the first phase as far as just internal staff review with Wade Trim to go over what's here, what have been some of the concerns in the past and some of the things that we're working on. Once that gets through that review, they are going to be taking into long range planning, also be taking into a town public charrette. So we'll have everybody here in town invited to make comments, suggestions on what they want to see and what they may want to see different within the town square footprint. And there'll also be like a survey monkey, online poll, stuff like that, so we can get a good gauge of where everybody's at and what they want to see within the town square. And we'll let you know when those meetings will be set up. Windermere Recreation Center, we had a power outage. I think John believes it was a lighting strike. So currently the lights and electric don't work out there. We did post it on our social media sites, and the bathrooms are going to be closed until we do get the power back. But we're already putting in another portal light out there to make sure that people have a place to go and playing tennis and enjoying the area. The Windermere Active Youth Committee, they're going to probably start again in September. We do have a couple of volunteers who kind of need some more support, but they'll be doing a presentation to town council in September of what their new ideas, goals, and objectives would be. So I think it's gonna be a good way to, again, reactivate that committee and also get a lot more engagement from our youth. And I am working with Orange County on the possibility of having some sort of team court out here as well. Currently, everything's over at the juvenile center, and it's just not really good with traffic and stuff like that, to see if they had an opportunity maybe to do a satellite team court here in town. Yeah, team court. That's all I have.
We were speaking with Kevin Guthrie, the FM director, and he said that they're like before season, which today's August 13th, so that's the information chart, so it still is possible. So that was no, I know. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I just that's what they're thinking. So 20 years on the 13th. That's great. Anything for us?
Just one Tanya update. What's that?
Tom.
Yeah, there you go. Just as you know, and I know Port Dorothy's been fielding a bunch of calls today, but we do have a lot of orange pipe going around this town and digging up of right of ways and everything else. Just to give you guys a heads up, it's been a long plan for us that we've been working with this company called Gigapowers. They are with AT&T. Gigapower is owned by AT&T, so they're bringing in a fiber backbone into the town. So far, they've installed almost 26 miles of underground piping. Had a few utility strikes, which, you know, it's gonna happen. But when you put 26 miles in and you don't have as many as we've had, we've been blessed for sure. But they've been pretty proactive. As a matter of fact, right before the meeting, that's where I was, because they struck a service line to someone's house with the water. So we got that all fixed. All that being said, this is actually the first time that the town will actually have competition from just one source. In addition to that, this will be fiber directly to the house, so it's not fiber to coax to the house. So the upload speeds and the download speeds will be about the same. So everybody will have their own individual fiber connection. So as much as it's been a challenge for us in the last couple of weeks, and the residents hopefully can be patient, because it's going to be for the good.
Competition is good.
And it will be cheaper than Spectrum, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But take that off the way.
Councilor Ramos.
Just real quick, I talked to the attorney who is working on the injunctions, or was working on the injunction for the Form 6. And he said that there was no appeal to the preliminary injunction, but the cases are still not over. But the good news is, though, as slowly as everything moves through the courts, you'll probably still have the preliminary injunction next year. So I'll keep you updated on that. I shouldn't say that. I'll keep you updated for whatever else you throw on that.
From the government here to help with that. You haven't noticed, school started, traffic is up already, so in the first couple of weeks there. Thanks to Annabelle, the observer, for a couple of great articles we had, and Officer Cason and Officer Miller, they got life savings, so we'll be giving them an award, just an amazing article. We did a nice self-defense course on August 1st with the Rotary, so thanks for their partnership there. DC Bonk is halfway through his FBI Leadership Academy. He's enjoying that time up there.
He looks like he's having one of your grades on.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, we're back there working. So when he comes back, we'll we go, but, our last hire, that we're getting ready to hire, she is in the academy right now, graduates in September 17th. We really took our time with this, we had a couple of people that almost made it to the end, and we just chose to go another direction. So we're excited about that. And then I think we have a bunch of upcoming events, so make sure you look on the website for that. Obviously, September starts the season with all the stuff we do, so we're excited about that. We are also, Robert asked me last week, I didn't know our code enforcement agreement is going to be going out, so I've been working on policies and procedures to take it with the code enforcement section. already actually have a hire that will probably hire next week. Hopefully, maybe the week after that, he's a retired major from the Atlanta Police Department with lots of years of experience and also some code enforcement experience. He's real excited to come aboard. But that's it.
Thank you for all my minutes approval. I will be gone September 10th and 11th. I have been asked to work a records management course for the County Clerks and Comptrollers Conference down in Naples. So I will be gone the 10th and the 11th. I think I'll be gone. For the
Thank you too for bringing forward the
So,
words of the.
yes. Yeah. He's already reported on elections and since it's not ours, but anyway, there is, kind of going. Very important to get out and vote.
It is extremely important. All of you guys do. I did one thing, we also have our annual 9/11 Memorial Day of this year, 6 p.m. right out back here. Fireman, give the chief and put together the last parts and pieces. I have to get the music first so we can sing. For to see everybody there as we. Anything else to go to the order? See none. We will turn to 11 p.m.